One of the things that came up to me just this morning about self-love was sensuality and masturbation. As you were talking, I think this is the time I got a burning question because
Okay,
I know you will give like an accurate, in-depth answer to this because it's something that came to mind. And if it's channeled into me, I got to ask it.
for
So
sure.
you are talking about self-love.
hmm
One of the things that came up to me just this morning about self love was sensuality and masturbation, and
Mm.
how it has been shamed as a form of self love, whereby we're now talking about alchemizing what you didn't see when you grew up into a loving relationship. How important is embracing your own sensuality, being comfortable with like touching yourself, getting in touch with, and I'm speaking to the women, knowing what are your breasts like? What is your booty like? What is your, because I can say that's something I was shameful for. And it's in preparation for this show, D Ray, it came up. What do you say to the women who have defined their sexuality to the outside, to a man, to other people, whereas they have not been sensual with themselves, with their womb, with
Mm.
anything?
Goes back to embodying Mayat holistically because women who deny themselves their own sensuality and sexuality are also denied with their masculine counterpart. You're still not experiencing the level of pleasure and healthy love making, orgasm, ecstasy that you're supposed to experience if you haven't developed it for yourself first. So, to me, if a woman has neglected nurturing herself, feeling herself, exploring herself, there's no way that she can educate her man on how to serve her in the way that she needs for her to experience the ultimate pleasure. So, when it comes down to self care, sensuality, touching yourself, feeling yourself, I am 100% an advocate for it. And I will also say this started for me from a traumatic place. When I was a kid, I was exposed to masturbation and sex, porn to be specific, from a childhood friend of mine, right? I had a childhood friend. Every time I would go to her house, she would pull out all the flicks that her mother and father had, and we would play them. And she would show me all of these different things. Yeah, Desiree, this is how you do this is how you do that. I mean, we were young. And what it did for a long time was kind of desensitized me to the sacredness of sex because it wasn't introduced to me in this sacred and divine way. It was kind of like my friend, just like, this is what my mama didn't be having, this is what I seen them do, whatever. And so at first, I carried a lot of shame surrounding that being my childhood experience and surrounding that being my introduction to sexuality. But again, being the alchemist, it put me a step ahead in my womb healing because I had already been used to touching myself, feeling myself, and having this certain level of intimacy with myself. It was just not from the highest form of love. So I had to do the alchemy and start communicating to my womb, communicating to my body, and restoring the sacredness of sexuality. So many women just have to go through the process of the alchemy. And I can tell you right now, as a person who has taught many womb classes and will continue to teach the power of the womb, so many women are afraid of themselves. They are.
Really?
Yes. So I have this specific ritual that I did with myself in order to reactivate the sacredness of my womb and my sexuality and sensuality. And it's actually called yoni gazing. And all you do is grab a mirror, put it in between your legs while you are unclothed, and look into your vagina. Look at your entire feminine structure, the yoni. And so when I first did this, it was very uncomfortable. It was very hard. Multiple times I've cried and I've just, all of these emotions were coming up through just looking at my vagina. But when I invited so many other women to try it because it was so liberating and so healing and so forgiving, my womb was like, girl, I know all of that happened in your childhood. I know the abandonment, the rejection maybe had you in these relationships that did not serve your highest good, but you are still powerful and divine. You are still sacred. This is still a sacred womb that brings forth life. But when I invited other women to do it, I got a lot of pushback. Oh, no, I just couldn't do that. No, that was just too much for me. I don't think I need to do that. All of that
Oh,
resistance and rejection to me just symbolized that women, these particular women, were not in a space where they were able to face one of the most sacred parts of their bodies. They weren't ready for what would be revealed through that level of care, aspiration, and nurturance. And so women have to get out of the fear of themselves and what they may discover by exploring themselves on a deeper, sensual, and sacred and sexual way.
yeah, because based on that, what did some of the women actually discover?
So the women that refused to do it, but that came into the space open, were like, wow, the fact that I was afraid to even do it does say a lot, and I need to dive deeper into this. The women that did have the boldness and the audacity to look at their vagina felt this meditative calm come over them.